All right, welcome. Today we are looking at something truly incredible. It's an ambitious plan to take an old, abandoned school property and turn it into a living, breathing, self-sufficient community. So let's dive in and see how they're making this vision a reality. It really all boils down to this one question. This isn't just about renovating a few buildings. We're talking about building an entirely new social and economic foundation, literally from the ground up. So how do you even begin to do something like that? Well, before you even think about laying a single brick, a project this massive needs a North Star, right? It needs a clear, guiding mission that everyone can rally around. And here it is. The mission is simple, it's direct, and it's incredibly powerful. And those two words, strong and caring, they tell you right away this is about so much more than just housing. The goal here is to actively create an environment of support, resilience, and, well, mutual respect. So, to build that strong and caring community, the project is grounded in a really powerful philosophy. It all rests on these three core pillars that give a very specific definition of what a true community actually is. This whole foundational idea comes from Dr. Claude Anderson, and his thinking is really the bedrock for this entire project. He argues that without a community, you have no container, no way to hold on to wealth or values or even history. And that is the core problem the Woodson Legacy Project is trying to solve. So, according to this philosophy, a true community needs these three things to even exist. First, an independent economic structure. Think about it. Businesses owned by and serving the community, where the money actually circulates inside. Second, you need a shared code of conduct for how people treat each other and do business. And third, you need some form of self-governance. That's the blueprint. Okay, so how do you take this big idea and actually build it? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The project maps that whole philosophy onto a physical, innovative model, a microcity. So this entire 6-acre property becomes the laboratory, you could say. It's a real-world model for putting all these principles into practice. It's just a fascinating way to visualize the whole concept. So at the very top level, the entire property is the community. Think of it exactly like that self-contained ecosystem, with its own economy, its own rules, and its own governance, just like Dr. Anderson's philosophy laid out. And then we zoom in a little. Within that larger community, each individual building on the site, the old cafeteria, the gym, the classroom wings, each one is defined as a neighborhood. And this is where it gets really granular. Inside each of those neighborhoods, every single classroom is considered a block. And the hallways connecting them? Yep, those are the streets. All of a sudden, an old school building is transformed into a miniature city map. It's brilliant. Of course, a vision is one thing, but turning it into a functioning microcity takes a ton of physical work. And for that, you absolutely need a detailed blueprint. And here's the plan for each structure. The idea is for each neighborhood to have its own unique purpose that serves the entire community. For example, that 1930s building, that's going to be an entrepreneurship incubator, which fuels that independent economy we talked about. The gym becomes a health and wellness center, the cafeteria, a community hub. Every single piece has a vital role to play. And I want to be really clear, this is not just some back-of-the-napkin sketch. There is a professional architectural strategy and detailed financial projections behind this entire project. This makes sure that the vision can be built effectively and responsibly. Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. How do you fund a dream this big? Well, the answer, pretty fittingly, comes from within the community itself. Their fundraising model has this fantastic name. It's called the Squirrel Gun and Elephant Gun strategy. And the name really highlights their dual approach. They're going after the small, grassroots contributions, that's your squirrel gun, and also the large institutional funding, that's the elephant gun. But the real engine here, the real power, is this idea of collaborative investment. The community comes up with fundraising ideas together, they design programs where everyone benefits and has equal access to resources. This approach actually fosters personal growth and independence, so the funding strategy itself becomes a perfect reflection of the project's mission. When you look at the whole thing, the Woodson Legacy Project is such a powerful reminder that building a community is about way more than just buildings. It's about a shared, actionable philosophy. This model could be a total game changer, and it kind of leaves us with a question for our own communities. If you were building from the ground up with a shared vision, what would be the very first brick you would lay?